All right, it is coming up on 8 o'clock. So, let's settle in, get comfortable, and jump in to a new book, a new project. Welcome back. This is our first night of reading after our long stretch of holiday-themed selections. And I thought to myself, well, if we want to separate ourselves from Christmas, what better way to do so than with a liberal dose of demonology? So here we are, with one of the foundational works of European literature, Faust, by Goethe. Yeah, this is an awkward one. It is so much a classic and the source of so much. Like, this is where a lot of the modern conception of Mephistopheles and demon kind in general gets its roots. It was mentioned in when we were reading Right Ho Chiefs, the Mephistopheles costume. It came from this. But it's kind of awkward. It is a play, but it's not really written with the intent to be performed. I think they call it a closet drama. It's meant to be read personally, not on stage. But it does have the sort of stage direction and breakdown of dialogue that you would see from a script. So it's just a little off-putting sometimes. So it doesn't come up in first ideations of literature a lot of times, but it most certainly is. And I think we're going to have a good time with it. Our format lends itself pretty well to this. It being a fair enough. But this being this isn't the first play we've read. If you remember, when we were just getting started, we read the Trojan series, or not Trojan. What were they? It was the tragedy cycle of. Now I'm spacing on the name. The Oedipus cycle. It has another name, but I completely spaced what it was. But this is the second really stretch of plays that we've done, and this one's a little bit of a doozy. I've actually not been. There are two parts, and I have heard that the second part is rather more dense than the first. And actually, I can't find the second part, at least not on Gutenberg. So we'll be reading the first part and going from there. But I think we should have fun with this. It harkens back to when we were reading Paradise Lost, and there are references and cross-references to all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, this is a story of temptation and twisting of wishes and ideas, bargains and reneging. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what all the fuss is about. Now, this one has a fair bit of prologue and sort of introduction, but we're going to be skipping the sort of stage preamble and going straight into the actual prologue, such as it is. So, let us start with Goethe's Faust, beginning from the prologue in heaven. Now, I do need to make a quick reminder. This version is translated into English. The original was obviously German. But this one was translated with the intent to maintain the original's meter. So, this will have sort of the poetic elements that we saw when we were reading things like Beowulf and Paradise Lost. This one specifically does still have a meter, so I will be trying to maintain that reasonably well. There are certain points that I'm sure will fall more into natural speech, but just the way it's written, it will sort of happen on its own, with the way it's laid out on the page. Alright. The prologue in heaven. There is the Lord and the heavenly host, and afterwards there is Mephistopheles. The three archangels come forward. Raphael. The sun orb sings in emulation. Mid brother spheres his ancient round, his path predestined through creation. He ends with step of thunder sound. The angels from his visage splendid draw power, whose measure none can say. The lofty works uncomprehended are bright, as on the earliest day. Gabriel. And swift beyond conceiving, the splendor of the world goes round. Day's Eden brightness still relieving the awful night's intense profound. The ocean tides in foam are breaking, against the rock's deep bases hurled, and both, the spheric race partaking, eternal, swift, are onward whirled. And Michael. And rival storms abroad are surging, from sea to land, from land to sea, a chain of deepest action forging. Round all in wrathful energy, their flames of desolation blazing, before thunder's crashing way. Yet, Lord, thy messengers are praising the gentle movement of thy day. The three angels. Though still by them uncomprehended, from these the angels draw their power, and all thy works sublime and splendid are bright as in creation's hour. Mephistopheles. Since thou, O Lord, deign'st to approach again, and ask us how we do in manner kindest, and heretofore to meet myself wert fain, among thy menials now my face thou findest, pardon, this troop I cannot follow after with lofty speech, though by them scorned and spurned, my pathos certainly would move thy laughter. If thou hadst not all merriment unlearned, of suns and worlds I've nothing to be quoted. How men torment themselves is all I've noted. The little god o' the world sticks to the same old way, and is as whimsical as on creation's day. Life somewhat better might content him, but for the gleam of heavenly light which thou hast lent him. He calls it reason, thence his powers increased, to be far beastlier than any beast. Saving thy gracious presence, he, to me, a long-legged grasshopper appears to be, what that springing flies, and flying springs, and in the grass the same old ditty sings. Would he still lay among the grass he grows in? Each bit of dung he seeks to stick his nose in. The Lord. Hast thou then nothing more to mention? Com'st ever thus with ill intention? Finds nothing right on earth eternally? Mephistopheles. No, Lord, I find things there still bad as they can be. Man's misery even to pity moves my nature. I've scarce the heart to plague the wretched creature. The Lord. Knowest Faust? The Dr. Faust. My servant he. Oh, just a quick aside. When we've established the voices, I will try and omit saying who is speaking. But if it tends to be unclear, or if we have a few voices that tend to overlap and make it hard to tell who is who, I'll bring it back. But for now, I think it's relatively okay. And it helps the flow to just drop off that. And the Lord, my servant he. Forsooth, he serves you after strange devices. No earthly meat or drink the fool suffices. His spirit's ferment far aspireth, half conscious of his frenzied crazed unrest. The fairest stars from heaven he requireth, from earth the highest raptures and the best, and all the near and far that he desireth, fails to subdue the tumult of his breast. Though still confused his service unto me, I soon shall lead him to a clearer morning. Sees not the gardener, even while buds his tree, both flower and fruit the future years adorning. Will you bet? There's still a chance to gain him, if unto me full leave you give, gently upon my road to train him. As long as he on earth shall live, So long I make no prohibition, while man's desires and aspirations stir, he cannot choose but err.
My thanks. I find the dead no acquisition, and never cared to have them in my keeping. I much prefer the cheeks that where ruddy blood is leaping, and when a corpse approaches close my house, it goes with me, as with the cat the mouse.
Enough! What thou hast asked is granted. Turn off this spirit from his fountainhead. To trap him let thy snares be planted, and him with thee be downward led. Then stand abashed when thou art forced to say, a good man through obscurest aspiration has still an instinct of the one true way.
Agreed. 'Tis a short probation. About my bet I feel no trepidation. If I fulfill my expectation, you'll let me triumph with a swelling breast. Dust shall he eat, and with a zest, as did a certain snake, my near relation.
Therein thou'rt free, according to thy merits. The like of thee have never moved my hate. Of all the bold denying spirits, the waggish knave least trouble doth create. Man's active nature flagging seeks too soon the level, unqualified repose he learns to crave. Whence, willingly, the comrade him I gave, who works, excites, and must create as devil. But ye, God's sons in love and duty, enjoy the rich, the ever-living beauty, creative power, that works eternal schemes, clasp you in bonds of love, relaxing never, and what in wavering apparition gleams, fix in its place, with thoughts that stand forever.
Heaven closes, the archangels separate, and then Mephistopheles, alone on the stage. I like at times to hear the ancients' word, and have a care to be most civil. It's really a kind of such a noble lord, so humanly to gossip with the devil.
Oh, we have some images here. I was not prepared for pictures. But I have at least gotten better at it, so we should be able to get this swapped over without too much fuss. Aha! Unlock that and give it a... There we go. So we have here the, presumably a depiction of Mephistopheles and something here below. There's not any caption here, but there's setting the stage, setting the tone. Alright, so we've seen the introduction of the drama itself. We've got the angels spatting around and glazing up God, because, you know, that's what angels do. But meanwhile, Mephistopheles is wanting to have a little bit of a game, a bit of a bet with the Lord Almighty, whether or not he'll be able to turn one of his creatures. And the Lord has given up Faust as the object of this game. Whether he can be turned, whether in all his earthly days, Mephistopheles will be able to make him his own. So, let's see the curtain rise on this first part of the tragedy. Act 1, Night. A lofty, arched, narrow, Gothic chamber. Faust in a chair at his desk, restless. I've studied now philosophy and jurisprudence, medicine, and even, alas, theology, from end to end with labor keen. And here, poor fool, with all my lore, I stand no wiser than before. I'm magister, yea, doctor hight, and straight or crosswise, wrong or right, these 10 years long with many woes, I've led my scholars by the nose. And see that nothing can be known, that knowledge cuts me to the bone. I'm cleverer, true, than those fops of teachers, doctors and magisters, scribes and preachers.
Neither scruples nor doubts come now to smite me, nor hell nor devil can longer affright me. For this all pleasure am I foregoing. I do not pretend to aught worth knowing. I do not pretend I could be a teacher, to help or convert a fellow creature. Then, too, I've neither lands nor gold, nor the world's least pomp or honor hold. No dog would endure such a cursed existence. Wherefore, from magic I seek assistance, that many a secret perchance I reach through spirit power and spirit speech, and thus the bitter task forego of saying the things I do not know. That I may detect the inmost force which binds the world and guides its course, its germs productive powers explore, and rummage in empty words no more. O full and splendid moon, whom I have from this desk seen climb the sky so many a midnight, would thy glow for the last time beheld my woe? Ever thine eye, most mournful friend, o'er books and papers saw me bend, but would that I, on mountains grand, amid thy blessed light could stand. With spirits through mountain caverns hover, float in thy twilight the meadows over, and, freed from the fumes of lore that swathe me, to health in the dewy fountains bathe me. I guess they would have wanted it to be swathed, but come on. Ah me, this dungeon still I see, this drear accursed masonry, where even the welcome daylight strains but duskly through the painted panes, hemmed in by many a toppling heap of books worm-eaten grey with dust, which to the vaulted ceiling creep. Against the smoky paper thrust, with glasses, boxes round me stacked, and instruments together hurled, ancestral lumber, stuffed and packed. Such is my world, and what a world! And do I ask, wherefore my heart falters, oppressed with unknown needs? Why, some inexplicable smart all movement of my life impedes. Alas, in living nature's stead, where God his human creature set, in smoke and mold the fleshless dead, and bones of beasts surround me yet. Fly up and seek the broad free land, and this one book of mystery from Nostradamus' very hand. Is not sufficient company, when I the starry courses know, and nature's wise instruction seek? With light of power my soul shall glow, as when to spirits speak. 'Tis vain, this empty brooding here, though guessed the holy symbols be. Ye spirits, come, ye hover near. Oh, if you hear me, answer me. He opens the book and perceives the sign of the macrocosm. Ha! When a sudden rapture leaps from this, I view through all my senses swiftly flowing. I feel a youthful, holy, vital bliss in every vein and fibre newly glowing. Was it a god who traced this sign, with calm across my tumult stealing? My troubled heart to joy unsealing, with impulse mystic and divine, the powers of nature here around my path revealing? Am I a god? So clear mine eyes, in these pure features I behold creative nature to my soul unfold. What says the sage? Now first I recognize. The spirit world no closures fasten, thy sense is shut, thy heart is dead. Disciple up, untiring hasten to bathe thy breast in morning red. He contemplates here the sign. How each the whole its substance gives, each in the other works and lives. Like heavenly forces rising and descending, their golden urns reciprocally lending, with wings that winnow blessing from heaven through earth, I see them pressing, filling the all with harmony unceasing. How grand a show! But show alone. The boundless nature, how make thee my own? Where you, ye beasts, founts of all beings shining, whereon hang heaven's and earth's desire, whereto our withered hearts aspire? Ye flow, ye feed, and am I vainly pining? He turns the leaves impatiently, and perceives the sign of the earth spirit. How otherwise upon me works this sign? Thou, spirit of the earth, art nearer. Even now my powers are loftier, clearer. I glow as drunk with new-made wine. New strength and heart to meet the world incite me. The woe of earth, the bliss of earth, invite me. And though the shock of storms may smite me, no crash of shipwreck shall have power to fright me. Clouds gather over me, the moon conceals her light, the lamps extinguished. Mist rides, red, angry rays are darting around my head. There falls a horror from the vaulted roof, and seizes me. I feel thy presence, spirit, I invoke. Reveal thyself. In my heart, what rending stroke! With new impulsion, my senses heave in this convulsion. I feel thee draw my heart, absorb, exhaust me. Thou must, and though my life it cost me. He seizes the book, and mysteriously pronounces the sign of the spirit. A ruddy flame flashes, the spirit appears in the flame. Who calls me? Faust averts his head. Terrible to see! Me hast thou long with might attracted, long from my sphere thy food extracted, and now, woe, I endure not thee! To view me is thine aspiration, my voice to hear, my countenance to see, thy powerful yearning moveth me, here am I. What mean perturbation thee superhuman shapes? Thy soul's high calling where? Where is the breast, which from itself a world did bear, and shaped and cherished, which with joy expanded, to be our peer, with us the spirits banded? Where art thou, Faust, whose voice has pierced to me, who toward me pressed with all thine energy? He art thou, who my presence breathing, seeing, trembles through all the depths of being, a writhing worm, a terror-stricken form? The form of flame, shall I then fear? Yes, I am Faust, I am thy peer. In the tides of life, in action storm, a fluctuant wave, a shuttle free, birth and the grave, an eternal sea, a weaving, flowing, life all glowing, thus at times humming loom, 'tis my hand prepares the garment of life which the deity wears. Thou, who around the wide world wendest, thou busy spirit, how near I feel to thee! Thou art like the spirit which thou comprehendest, not me. And the spirit disappears. Not, Faust, overwhelmed now, not thee? Whom then? I, image of the Godhead, not even like thee. And there's a knock. Oh, death! I know it, 'tis my Famulus. My fairest luck finds no fruition in all the fullness of my vision. The soulless sneak disturbs me thus. Enter Wagner, in dressing gown and nightcap, a lamp in his hand. Faust turns impatiently. Pardon, I heard your declamation. This is Wagner now, new character, new voice, sorry. Pardon, I heard your declamation. 'Twas sure an old Greek tragedy you read. In such an art I crave some preparation, since now it stands one in good stead. I've often heard it said a preacher might learn with a comedian for a teacher. Yes, when the priest comedian is by nature, as haply now and then the case may be. When one studies thus a prisoned creature, that scarce the world on holidays can see, scarce through a glass by rare occasion, how shall one lead it by persuasion? You'll never attain it, save you know the feeling, save from the soul it rises clear, serene in primal strength, compelling the hearts and minds of all who hear. You sit forever gluing, patching, you cook the scraps from others' fare, and from your heap of ashes hatching a starveling flame, ye blow it bare. Take children's, monkeys, gaze admiring, if such your taste and be content. but ne'er from heart to heart you'll speak inspiring, save your own heart is eloquent. Yet, through delivery or to succeed, I feel that I am far behind indeed. Seek thou the honest recompense, beware a tinkling fool to be, with little art, clear wit, and sense, suggest their own delivery, and if thou'rt moved to speak in earnest, what need that after words thou yearnest? Yes, your discourses with their glittering show, where ye from men twist shedding thought like paper, are unrefreshing as the winds that blow the rustling leaves through chill autumnal vapor. Ah, God, but art is long, and life, alas, is fleeting, and oft with zeal my critic duties meeting, in head and breast there's something wrong. How hard it is to compass the assistance, whereby one rises to the source, and, haply, ere one travels half the course, must the poor devil quit existence. Is parchment, then, the holy fount before thee, a draught wherefrom thy thirst forever slakes? No true refreshment can restore thee, save what from thine own soul spontaneous breaks. A pardon, a great delight is granted, when, in the spirit of the ages planted, we mark how ere our times a sage has thought, and then how far his work, and grandly, we have brought. Oh yes, up to the stars at last! Listen, my friend, the ages that are past are now a book with 7 seals protected. What you, the spirit of the ages, call is nothing but the spirit of you all, wherein the ages are reflected, so oftentimes you miserably mar it. At the first glance, who sees it runs away. An offal barrel and a lumber garret, or at the best, a Punch and Judy play, with maxims most pragmatical and hitting, as in the mouths of puppets are befitting. But then, the world, the human heart and brain, of these one covets some slight apprehension. Yes, of the kind which men attain. Who dares the child's true name in public mention? The few who thereof something really learned. Unwisely frank, with hearts that spurned concealing, and to the mob laid bare each thought and feeling. If evermore been crucified and burned, I pray you, friend, 'tis now the dead of night, our converse here must be suspended. I would have shared your watches with delight, that so our learned talk might be extended. Tomorrow, though, I'll ask in Easter leisure this and the other question at your pleasure. Most zealously I seek for erudition. Much do I know, but to know is my ambition. And Wagner exits. And Faust, alone again. That brain alone not loses hope, whose choice is to stick in shallow trash forevermore, which digs with eager hand for buried ore, and, when it finds an angleworm, rejoices. Dare such a human voice disturb the flow around me here of spirit presence fullest? And yet, this once my thanks I owe to thee, of all earth's sons the poorest, dullest, for thou hast torn me from that desperate state which threatened soon to overwhelm my senses. The apparition was so giant great, it dwarfed and withered all my soul's pretenses. I, image of the Godhead who began, deeming eternal truth secure in nearness, the sun myself in heavenly light and clearness, and laid aside the earthly man. I, more than cherub, whose free force had planned to flow through nature's veins in glad pulsation, to reach beyond, enjoying in creation the life of gods. Behold my expiation. A thunder word hath swept me from my stand. With thee I dare not venture to compare me, though I possessed the power to draw thee near me. The power to keep thee was denied my hand. When that ecstatic moment held me, I felt myself so small, so great. But thou hast ruthlessly repelled me, back upon man's uncertain fate. What shall I shun? Whose guidance borrow? Shall I accept that stress and strife, every deed of ours no less than every sorrow, impedes the onward march of life? Some alien substance more and more is cleaving to all the mind conceives of grand and fair. When this world's good is won by our achieving, the better then is named a cheat and snare. The fine emotions whence our lives we mold lie in the earthly tumult, dumb and cold. If earthly fancy once in daring flight her longings to the infinite expanded, Yet now a narrow space contents her quite, since time's wild wave so many a fortune stranded. Care at the bottom of the heart is lurking, her secret pangs in silence working. She restless rocks herself, disturbing joy and rest. In newer masks her face is ever dressed, by turns, as house and land, as wife and child presented, as water, fire, as poison, steel. We dread the blows we never feel, and what we never lose is yet by us lamented. I am not like the gods, that truth is felt too deep. The worm am I, that in the dust doth creep, that, while in dust it lives and seeks its bread, is crushed and buried by the wanderer's tread. Is not this dust, these walls within them hold? There's 100 shelves which cramp and chain me, the frippery, the trinkets thousandfold, that in this motley den restrain me. Here shall I find the help I need? Shall here 1,000 volumes teach me only that men self-tortured everywhere must bleed, and here and there one happy man sits lonely? What mean'st thou by that grin, thou hollow skull, save that thy brain, like mine, a cloudy mirror, sought once the shining day, and then in twilight dull, thirsting for truth, went wretchedly to error? Ye instruments, forsooth, but jeered me, with wheel and cog and shapes uncouth of wonder. I found the portal, you the keys should be. Your wards are deftly wrought, but drive no bolts asunder. Mysterious, even in open day, nature retains her veil, despite our clamours. That which she doth not willingly display cannot be wrenched from her with levers, screws, and hammers. Ye ancient tools, whose use I never knew, here since my father used ye, still ye moulder. Thou ancient scroll hast worn thy smoky hue, since at this desk the dim lamp wont to smoulder. 'Twere better far had I my little idly spent, than now to sweat beneath its burden, I confess it. What from your father's heritage is lent, earn it anew, to really possess it. What serves not is a sore impediment. The moment's need creates the thing to serve and bless it. Yet, wherefore turns my gaze to yonder point so lightly? Is yonder flask a magnet for mine eyes? Whence, all around me, glows the air so brightly, as when in woods at night the mellow moonbeam flies. I hail thee wondrous, rarest vial, I take thee down devoutly for the trial. Man's art and wit I venerate in thee, thou summary of gentle slumber juices, essence of deadly finest powders and uses. Unto thy master show thy favour free. I see thee, and the stings of pain diminish. I grasp thee, and my struggles slowly finish. My spirit's flood-tide ebbeth more and more. Out on the open ocean speeds my dreaming. The glassy flood before my feet is gleaming. A new day beckons to a newer shore. A fiery chariot, borne on buoyant pinions, sweeps near me now. I soon shall be ready to pierce the ether's high, unknown dominions, to reach new spheres of pure activity. This godlike rapture, this supreme existence, do I, but now a worm, deserve to track? Yes, resolute to reach some brighter distance, on earth's fair sun I turn my back. Yes, let me dare those gates to fling asunder, which every man would fain go slinking by. 'Tis time, through deeds this word of truth to thunder, that with the height of God's man's dignity may vie, nor from that gloomy gulf to shrink affrighted, where fancy doth herself to the self-born pangs compel, to struggle toward that pass benighted, around whose narrow mouth flame all the fires of hell. To take this step with cheerful resolution, though nothingness should be the certain swift conclusion. And now come down, thou cup of crystal clearest. Fresh from thine ancient cover thou appearest. So many years forgotten to my thought, thou shonst at old ancestral banquets cheery, the solemn guests thou madest merry. When one thy wassail to the other brought, the rich and skilful figures o'er thee wrought. The drinker's duty, rhyme-wise to explain them, or in one breath below the mark to drain them. From many a night of youth my memory caught, now to a neighbour shall I pass thee never, nor on thy curious art to test my wit endeavour. Here is a juice, whence sleep is swiftly born, it fills with browner flood thy crystal hollow. I chose, prepared it, thus I follow. With all my soul the final drink I swallow, a solemn festal cup, a greeting to the morn. He lifts the goblet to his mouth, a chime of bells and a choral song. Chorus of angels, Christ is arisen, joy to the mortal one whom the unmerited, clinging, inherited, needs did imprison. What hollow humming, what a sharp, clear stroke drives from my lip the goblets at their meeting, announce the booming bells already woke, the first glad hour of Easter's festal greeting. Ye choirs, have ye begun the sweet consoling chant, which through the night of death the angels ministrant sang, God's new covenant repeating? Chorus of women, with spices and precious balm we arrayed him, faithful and gracious we tenderly laid him, linen to bind him cleanly wound we, when we would find him, Christ no more found we. And the chorus of angels, Christ is ascended, bliss hath invested him, woes that molested him, trials that tested him, gloriously ended. Why, hear and dost entice me with your spell, ye gentle, powerful sounds of heaven. Peal rather there, where tender natures dwell. Your messages I hear, but faith has not been given. The dearest child of faith is miracle. I venture not to soar to yonder regions, whence the glad tidings hither float, and yet, from childhood, up familiar with the note, to life it now renders the old allegiance. Once heavenly love sent down a burning kiss upon my brow in Sabbath, silence holy, and filled with mystic presage, chimed the church bell slowly. And prayer dissolved me in a fervent bliss. A sweet, uncomprehended yearning drove forth my feet through woods and meadows free. And while 1,000 tears were burning, I felt the world arise for me. These chants, to youth and all its sports appealing, proclaimed the spring's rejoicing holiday. And memory holds me now with childish feeling back from the last, the solemn way. Sound on, ye hymns of heaven, so sweet and mild. My tears gush forth, the earth takes back her child. Now a chorus of disciples. Has he victoriously burst from the vaulted grave, and all gloriously now sits exalted? Is he, in glow of birth, rapture creative near? Ah, to the woe of earth still are we native here. We, his aspiring followers, him we miss, weeping, desiring, Master, thy bliss. Chorus of angels. Christ is arisen out of corruption's womb. Burst ye the prison, break from your gloom, praising and pleading him, lovingly needing him, brotherly feeding him, preaching and speeding him, blessing succeeding him. Thus is the Master near, thus is he here. And we've got another picture here, so in 1 second I will get that queued up. Yeah, and this is a really good poetic meter. Like, it has to be, there is a huge amount of love and care given into this translation, because it's got a good meter, it's got some rhyming couplets, it's just really, like, chef's kiss there. But, and this is a translation. This is crazy how good this was done, because it flows perfectly. All right, and that's the end of scene 1 there. So we've seen the introduction of Faust himself and what he is getting up to, and he's got a little bit of a pride to him. This man is he's sort of at the peak of his craft. He's seen things, he's done things, and all through it, he's come to realize that, you know, he's better than your average Joe.
There's things out there that no one knows, but he is so close. He's finding and reaching for a way to be the one to really identify these things and understand the world. And there's a little bit of just a touch of blasphemy going on, and that's really setting the stage for everything here that's coming up. Because if you're not a little proud of yourself, you're not really going to be looking for any sort of deal with the devil sort of situation. You gotta have the right aptitude, the right outlook on life there. And so we've got our own little, now it's a very reminiscent of Victor going on here. Just a little bit of pride, a little bit of melodrama, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, there seems to be a slight shift in meter between who's speaking. Faust has a very plodding, deliberate meter, and when other characters come across, it shifts. Like when the choruses were going in, it was, I don't know if it was just the way I said it, but it was quick, bright, light as they were carrying it on. Each of the lines were short, but they were consistent. They flowed together. Whereas when Faust is speaking, it's all very carefully laid out. Every other line has a rhyming couplet. Every other bit sort of has the same length and feel and mode. So it's really impressive how well it's done. I am actually floored by how good of a translation this is. All right, let's continue on, because this next one, we'll end up going a little over the hour mark, but it's worth it. So we'll get through scene 2 here, and then we will see what we have next. So, scene 2. Before the city gate, pedestrians of all kinds are coming forth. Several apprentices are talking to each other. "Why do you go that way?" And others, We're for the Hunter's Lodge today. We'll saunter to the mill in yonder hollow. Go to the river tavern, I should say. But then it's not a pleasant way. And what will you? As goes the crowds, I follow. Come up to Bergdorf. There you'll find good cheer, the finest lasses and the best of beer, and jolly rows and squabbles, trust me. You swaggering fellow, is your hide a third time itching to be tried? I won't go there. Your jolly rows disgust me. No, I'll turn and go to town again. We'll surely find him by those poplars yonder. There's no great luck for me, 'tis plain. You'll have him when and where you wander. His partner in the dance you'll be, but what is all your fun to me? Okay, this just a quick aside here. This is a whole lot of unnamed characters just talking back and forth. So it's the mob going, just chattering, and there's background noise. It's all very quick and back and forthish. He's surely not alone today. He'll be with Curlyhead, I heard him say. Deuce, how they step, the buxom wenches. Come, brother, we must see them to the benches. A strong old beer, a pipe that stings and bites, a girl in Sunday clothes. These three are my delights. Just see those handsome fellows there. It's really shameful, I declare, to follow servant girls when they might have the most genteel society today. Not quite so fast. Two others come behind, those dressed so prettily and neatly. My neighbor's one of them, I find, a girl that takes my heart completely. They go their way with looks demure, but they'll accept us after all, I'm sure. No, brother, not for me their formal ways. Quick, lest our game escape us in the press. The hand that wields the broom on Saturdays will best on Sundays fondle and caress. He suits me not at all, our new-made burgomaster. Since he's installed, his arrogance grows faster. How has he helped the town, I say? Things worsen. Which improvement names he? Obedience more than ever claims he, and more than ever we must pay. And now a beggar is singing, Good gentlemen and lovely ladies, so red of cheek and fine of dress, behold now how needful your aid is, and see and lighten my distress. Let me not vainly sing my ditty, he's only glad who gives away. A holiday that shows your pity shall be for me a harvest day. Then we're back to the citizenry.
On Sundays, holidays, there's naught I take delight in, like gossiping of war and war's array. When down in Turkey far away, the foreign people are a-fighting. One at the window sits with glass and friends, and sees all sorts of ships go down the river gliding. And blesses then, as home he wends at night, our times of peace abiding. Yes, neighbour, that's my notion too. Why, let them break their heads, let loose their passions, and mix these things badly through and through. So here we keep our good old fashions. Dear me, how fine, how handsome, and so young. Who wouldn't lose his heart that met you? Don't be so proud, I'll hold my tongue, and what you'd like I'll undertake to get you. Come, Agatha, I shun the witch's sight. Before folks, lest there be misgiving. 'Tis true she showed me on St. Andrew's night my future sweetheart, just as he were living. She showed me mine, in crystal clear, with several wild young blades, a soldier lover. I seek him everywhere, I pry and peer, and yet, somehow, his face I can't discover. And then now a bunch of soldiers are going together. Castles with lofty ramparts and towers, maidens disdainful in beauty's array, both shall be ours. Bold is the venture, splendid the pay, lads with the trumpets, for us be suing, calling to pleasure, calling to ruin. Stormy our life is, such is its boon. Maidens and castles capitulate soon, bold is the venture, splendid the pay, and the soldiers go marching, marching away. And now we turn to Faust and Wagner. Released from ice, our brook and river, by the quickening glance of the gracious spring, the colours of hope to the valley cling, and weak old winter himself must shiver. Withdrawn to the mountains, a crownless king, whence ever retreating he sends again impotent showers of sleet that darkle in belts across the green or the plain. But the sun will permit no white to sparkle, everywhere form and development moveth. He will brighten the world with the tints he loveth. And, lacking blossoms blue, yellow, and red, he takes these gaudy people instead. Turn thee about, and from his height, back on the town direct thy sight. Out of the hollow, gloomy gate, the motley throngs come forth elate. Each will the joy of the sunshine hoard, to honour the day of the risen Lord. They feel themselves their resurrection, from the low dark rooms scarce habitable, from the bonds of work, from trade's restriction, from the pressing weight of roof and gable, from the narrow crushing streets and alleys, from the church's solemn and reverend night. All come forth to the cheerful light. How lively see the multitude sallies, scattering through the gardens and fields remote, while over the river that broadly dallies, dances so many a festive boat, and overladen nigh to sinking, the last full wherry takes the stream. Yonder afar from the hill paths blinking, their clothes are colours that softly gleam. I hear the noise of the village even, here is the people's proper heaven. Here high and low contented see, and here I am man, dare man to be. To stroll with you, Sir Doctor flatters, 'tis honour, profit unto me, but I alone would shun these shallow matters. Since all that's coarse provokes my enmity, this fiddling, shouting, ten-pin rolling, I hate these noises of the throng. They rave as Satan were their sports controlling, and call it mirth and call it song. Now a bunch of peasants under the linden tree dancing and singing. All for the dance the shepherd dressed, in ribbons, wreath, and gayest vest, himself with care arraying, around the linden lass and lad, already footed it like mad. Hurrah, 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 ta-ra-la-la, the fiddle bow was playing. He broke the ranks, no whit afraid, and with his fellow punched a maid, who stood the dance surveying. The buxom wench she turned and said, "Now you I call a stupid head. Hurrah, 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 tra-la-la. Be decent while you're staying." Then round the circle went their flight. They danced to left, they danced to right, their kirtles all were playing. They first grew red and then grew warm, and rested panting arm in arm. Hurrah, 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 ta-ra-la, and hips and elbows straying. Now don't be so familiar here. How many a one has fooled his dear, waylaying and betraying, and yet he coaxed her soon aside, and round the linden sounded wide. Hurrah, 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 ta-ra-la-la, and the fiddle bow was playing. An old peasant now. "Sir Doctor, it is good of you, that thus you condescend today, among this crowd of merry folk, a highly learned man to stray. Then also take the finest can. We will, with fresh wine, for your sake, I offer it, and humbly wish that not alone your thirst is slake, that, as the drops below its brink, so many days of life you drink. I take the cup you kindly reach, with thanks and health to all and each. And everyone gather around a circle about him. In truth, 'tis well and fitly timed, that now our day of joy you share, who heretofore in evil days gave us so much of helping care. Still, many a man stands living here, saved by your father's skilful hand, that snatched him from the fever's rage, and stayed the plague in all the land. Then also you, though but a youth, went into every house pain, many the corpses carried forth, but you in health came out again. No test or trial you evaded, a helping God the helper aided. And then everyone, health to the man so skilled and tried, that for our help he long may abide. To him above bow down, my friends, who teaches help and succor sends. And he goes on away from the crowd with Wagner. With what a feeling, thou great man, must thou receive the people's honest veneration. How lucky he whose gifts his station with such advantages endow. Thou'rt shown to all the younger generation, each asks and presses near to gaze. The fiddle stops, the dance delays. Thou goest, they stand in rows to see. And all the caps are lifted high, a little more and they would bend the knee, as if the holy host came by. A few more steps ascend, as far as yonder stone. Here from our wandering will we rest contented. Here, lost in thought, I've lingered oft alone, when foolish fasts and prayers my life tormented. Here rich in hope, and firm in faith, with tears, wrung hands, and sighs I've striven, the end of that far-spreading death, entreating from the Lord of heaven. Now, like contempt the crowd's applauses seem, couldst thou but read within mine inmost spirit, how little now I deem that sire or son such praises merit. My father's was a sombre brooding brain, which through the holy spheres of nature groped and wandered, and honestly in his own fashion pondered, with labour whimsical and pain, who, in his dusky workshop bending, with proved adepts in company, made from his recipes unending opposing substances agree. There was a lion red, a wooer daring, within the lily's tepid bath espoused, and both tormented then by flame unsparing, by turns in either bridal chamber housed. If then appeared with colours splendid the young queen in her crystal shell, this was the medicine the patient's woes soon ended, and none demanded who got well. Thus we, our hellish boluses compounding, among these vales and hills surrounding, worse than the pestilence have passed. Thousands were done to death from poison of my giving, and I must hear by all the living the shameless murderers praised at last. Why, therefore yield to such depression? A good man does his honest share, in exercising with the strictest care the art bequeathed to his possession. Dost thou thy father honour as a youth? Then may his teaching cheerfully impel thee. Dost thou, as man, increase the stores of truth? Then may thine own son afterwards excel thee. Oh, happy he who still renews the hope from errors deep to rise forever. That which one does not know, one needs to use, and what one knows one never uses never. But let us not by such despondence so the fortune of this hour embitter. Mark how beneath the evening sunlight's glow the green embosomed houses glitter. The glow retreats, done is the day of toil, if yonder haste the new fields of life exploring, that no wing can lift me from the soil. Upon its track to follow fellow soaring, then would I see eternal evening gild. The silent world beneath me glowing, on fire each mountain peak, with peace each valley filled. The silver brook to golden rivers flowing. The mountain chain with all its gorges deep would then no more impede my godlike motion. And now before mine eyes expands the ocean with all its bays in shining sleep. Yet finally, the wary god is sinking, the new-born impulse fires my mind. I hasten on, his beams eternal drinking, the day before me and the night behind. Above me heaven unfurled, the floor of waves beneath me. A glorious dream, though now the glories fade. Alas, the wings that lift the mind no aid of wings to lift the body can bequeath me. Yet in each soul is born the pleasure of yearning onward, upward, and away.
When o'er our heads lost in the vaulted azure, the lark sends down his flickering lay. When over crags and piny highlands the poising eagle slowly soars, and over plains and lakes and islands the crane sails by to other shores. I've had myself at times some odd caprices, but never yet such impulse felt as this. One soon fatigues on woods and fields to look, nor would I beg the bird his wing to spare us. How otherwise the mental raptures bear us, from page to page, from book to book. Then winter nights take loveliness untold, as warm a life in every limb had crowned you, and when your hands unroll some parchment rare and old, all heaven descends and opens bright around you. One impulse art thou conscious of at best. Oh, never seek to know the other. Two souls, alas, reside within my breast, and each withdraws from and repels its brother. One, with tenacious organs holds in love, and clinging lust the world in its embraces. The other strongly sweeps this dust above into the high ancestral spaces, if there be airy spirits near. Twixt heaven and earth on potent errands fleeing, let them drop down the golden atmosphere, and bear me forth to new and varied being. Yea, if a magic mantle once were mine, to waft me o'er the world at pleasure, I would not for the costliest stores of treasure, not for monarch's robe the gift resign. Invoke not thus the well-known throng, which through the firmament diffused is faring, and danger thousandfold our race to wrong. In every quarter is preparing. Swift from the north the spirit fangs so sharp sweep down, and with their barbed points assail you. Then from the east they come, to dry and warp your lungs till breath and being fail you. If from the desert sendeth them the south, with the fire your throbbing forehead crowning, the west leads on a host to cure the drouth. Only when meadow, field, and you are drowning, they gladly hearken, prompt for injury, gladly obey because they gladly cheat us. From heaven they represent themselves to be, and lisp like angels when with lies they meet us. But let us go, 'tis grey and dusky all, the air is cold, the vapours fall. At night one learns his house to prize. Why stand you thus, with such astonished eyes? What in the twilight can your mind so trouble? Seest thou the black dog coursing there, through corn and stubble? Long since, yet deemed him not important in the least. Inspect him close, for what takest thou the beast? Why, for a poodle who has lost his master, and scents about his track to find. Seest thou the spiral circles narrowing faster, which he, approaching, round us seems to wind? A streaming trail of fire, if I see rightly, follows his path of mystery. It may be that your eyes deceive you slightly. Naught but a plain black poodle do I see. It seems to me that with enchanted cunning he snares our feet, some future chain to bind. I see him timidly, in doubt, around us running, since in his master's stead 2 strangers doth he find. The circle narrows, he is near. A dog thou seest, and not a phantom here. Behold him stop, upon his belly crawl, his tail set wagging, canine habits all. Come, follow us, come here at least. 'Tis the absurdest, drollest beast. Stand still, and you will see him wait. Address him, and he gambols straight. If something's lost, he'll quickly break it. Your cane, if in the stream you fling it. No doubt you're right. No trace of mind I own is in the beast. I see but drill alone. The dog, when he's well educated, is by the wisest tolerated. Yes, he deserves your favor thoroughly. The clever scholar of the students he. And then they pass in the city gate. We have another picture here of the dog, presumably. I really should just show the picture, show the reader. Maybe I'll do that. Figure up something there to just show the text instead. Follow along. And yes, Poodles from Hell is about spot on. Like, I think we're on the same page there. They're not the nicest. Oh, we have another picture too, so there's a double. I really do need to just show the reader one of these days. But yes, that is definitely a not so friendly looking poodle in that first picture. And then in the second, we have another dog and the animal kingdom laid about. This is all very sort of abstract pictures that we're getting, but they sort of start to set the stage. All right, that brings us to the end of the second scene. So let's go ahead and take a short break. That pacing was rather relentless, and I should probably wet my whistle a little bit. So let's take a few minutes, stand up, stretch our legs, top up our drinks, and rest our chops for a minute, and we'll be back in just a little bit where we continue with Scene 3 of Faust by Goethe. All right, we are back. So, I know we're currently reading one tragedy, but I have another to report. I'm almost out of gin. I know. Let that sink in for a moment. It's all right. We'll get over this together. But it'll be a struggle. We're just gonna have to work through it. What kind of a world is it when the gin runs out before the tonic? Should never be. Should never be. Luckily, the liquor store's open tomorrow. All right. So, let's go ahead and get ready to jump back in to the third scene of this first act of Faust. We're seeing a little bit more, oh man, hot dogs and buns. That is by intention and design. You cannot tell me when you sell 10 packs of hot dogs and 8 packs of buns that is not a conspiracy brought about to just make sure that you will always be left unsatisfied. It has to be. All right. So we've seen sort of the grounds being laid. Faust is a man of learning, a man who is head and shoulders above everyone around him, and he knows it. And he's looking for some way to peer beyond the veil. Some way to find a deeper truth of the world that just observation is not able to provide. You can see that he's got a fair bit of contempt for his fellow man, even for his father, who was a well-held and well-renowned doctor and chemist. But that is below Faust. That is below the doctor. And he's starting to show it a little. But also, he's starting to see some things. A sort of vile influence in things around him. Yes, it might just be a poodle. Or it could be a hellhound sent to rein him in. Who knows? Could be both. It is a poodle after all. Alright, so let's continue now as we likely see a little bit more of the design coming together. The study. Faust entering with the poodle. Wait, what? Okay, hold on. Find me, field and meadow sleeping, I leave in deep prophetic night, within whose dread and holy keeping the better soul awakes to light. The wild desires no longer win us, the deeds of passion cease to chain, the love of man revives within us, the love of God revives again. Be still, thou poodle, make not such a racket and riot, why at the threshold wilt snuffing be? Behind the stove repose the inquiet, my softest cushion I give to thee, as thou up yonder with running and leaping, amused at us hast on the mountain's crest. So now I take thee into my keeping, a welcome but also a silent guest. Ah, when within our narrow chamber the lamp with friendly lustre glows, flames in the breast each faded amber, and in the heart itself that knows, then hope again leads sweet assistance, and reason then resumes her speech. One yearn the rivers of existence, the very founts of life to reach. Snarl not, poodle, to the sound that rises, the sacred tones that my soul embrace. This bestial noise is out of place.
We are used to see that man despises what he ever comprehends, and the good and the beautiful Philippines, finding them often hard to measure, will the dog like man snarl his displeasure? But I feel, though will thereto be stronger, contentment flows from out my breast no longer. Why must the stream so soon run dry and fail us, and burning thirst again assail us? Therein I've borne so much probation, and yet this way want may be supplied us. We call the supernatural to guide us. We pine and thirst for revelation, which nowhere worthier is more nobly sent than here in our New Testament. I feel impelled its meaning to determine, with honest purpose once for all, the hallowed original, to change to my beloved German. He opens a volume and commences. "'Tis written, in the beginning was the Word. Here am I balked. Who now can help afford the Word? Impossible so high to rate it, and otherwise must I translate it. If by the Spirit I am truly taught, then thus in the beginning was the thought. This first line let me weigh completely, lest my impatient pen proceed too fleetly. Is it the thought which works, creates indeed? In the beginning was the power, I read. Yet, as I write, a warning is suggested, that I, the sense, may not have fairly tested. The Spirit aids me, now I see the light. In the beginning was the act, I write. If I must share my chamber with thee, Poodle, stop that howling, prithee. Cease to bark and bellow, such a noisy, disturbing fellow. I'll no longer suffer near me. One of us dost hear me. Must leave, I fear me. No longer guess right I bestow. The door is open, art free to go. But what do I see in the creature? Is that in fact the course of nature? Is it actual fact or fancy shows how long and broad my poodle grows? He rises mightily in canine form that cannot be. What spectre I've harbored thus? He resembles a hippopotamus, with fiery eyes, teeth terrible to see. Oh, now am I sure of thee, for all thy half-hellish brood, the key of Solomon is good. Spirits in the corridor. Someone within is caught. Stay without, follow him not. Like the fox in a snare, quakes the old hell lynx there. Take heed, look about. Back and forth hover, under and over, and he'll work himself out. If your aid avail him, let it not fail him, for he, without measure, has wrought for our pleasure. First to encounter the beast, the words of the four must be addressed. Salamander, shine glorious, wave Undine as bidden. Sylph, be thou hidden, gnome, be laborious. Who knows not their sense, these elements, their properties and power not sees, no mastery he inherits over the spirits. Vanish in flaming ether, salamander, flow foamingly together, Undine. Fame and shine in meteor sheen, Sylph, bring help to hearth and shelf. Incubus, incubus, step forward and finish thus. Of the four, no feature lurks in the creature. Quiet he lies and grins disdain. Not yet, it seems, have I given him pain. Now, to undisguise thee, hear me exercise thee. Art thou, my gay one, hell's furtive stray one? The sign witness now, before which they bow, the cohorts of hell. With hair all bristling it begins to swell. Base being, hearest thou, knowest and fearest thou, the one, unoriginate, named inexpressibly, through all heaven impermeate, pierced irredressibly. Behind the stove still banned, see it, an elephant expand. It fills the space entire, mist like melting ever faster. 'Tis enough, ascend no higher. Lay thyself at the feet of the master. Thou seest, not vain the threats I bring thee. With holy fire I'll scorch and sting thee. Wait not to know the threefold dazzling glow. Wait not to know the strongest art within my hands. And now Mephistopheles, while the vapor is dissipating, steps forth from behind the stove in the costume of a traveling scholar. Why, such a noise! What are my lord's commands? This was the poodle's real core. A traveling scholar, then, the cat's is diverting. The learned gentleman I bow before. You've made me roundly sweat, that's certain. What is thy name? A question small, it seems, for one whose mind the word so much despises, who, scorning all external gleams, the depths of being only prizes. With all you gentlemen the names attest, whereby the nature usually is expressed. Clearly the latter it implies, in names like Beelzebub, Destroyer, Father of Lies. Who art thou then? Part of that power not understood, which always wills the bad, and always works the good. What hidden sense in this enigma lies? I am the spirit that denies, and justly so, for all things from the void called forth deserve to be destroyed. 'Twere better then were not created, thus all which you as sin have rated, destruction, aught with evil blent, that is my proper element. Thou namest thyself apart, yet show'st complete to me. The modest truth I speak to thee. If man, that microcosmic fool, can see himself a whole so frequently, part of the part am I, once all in primal light, part of the darkness which brought forth the light, the haughty light which now disputes the space, and claims of Mother Night her ancient place. And yet the struggle fails, since light, howe'er it weaves, still, fettered unto bodies cleaves, it flows from bodies beautifies. By bodies is its course impeded, and so but little time is needed. I hope, ere as the bodies die, it dies. I see the plan thou art pursuing. Thou canst not compass general ruin, and hast on smaller scale begun. And truly 'tis not much, when all is done, that which to naught is in resistance set. Something of this clumsy world has yet, with all that I have undertaken, not been by me disturbed or shaken. From earthquake, tempest, wave, volcano's brand, back into quiet settle sea and land. And that damned stuff, the bestial human brood, what use in having that to play with? How many have I made away with? And ever circulates anew a fresher blood. It makes me furious, such things beholding. From water, earth, and air unfolding, 1,000 germs break forth and grow, in dry and wet and warm and chilly. And had I not the flame reserved, why, really, there's nothing special of my own to show. So, to the actively eternal, creative force and cold disdain, you now oppose the fist infernal, whose wicked clench is all in vain. Some who labour seek thou rather, queer son of chaos, to begin. Well, we'll consider, thou canst gather, thy views when next I venture in. Might I, perhaps, depart at present? Why thou shouldst ask, I don't perceive. Thou, our acquaintance is so recent. For further visits thou hast leave. The window's there, the door is yonder, a chimney also you behold. I must confess that forth I may not wander, my steps by one slight obstacle controlled, the wizard's foot that on your threshold made is. The pentagram prohibits thee? Why, tell me now, thou son of Hades, if that prevents you, how cam'st thou in to me? Could such a spirit be so cheated? Inspect the thing, the drawing's not completed. The outer angle you may see is open left, the lines don't fit it. Well, chance this time has fairly hit it, and thus thou'rt prisoner to me. It seems the business has succeeded. The poodle naught remarked, as after thee he speeded, but other aspect now obtain, the devil can't get out again. Try then the open window pane. For devils and for spectres this is law. Where they have entered, there also they withdraw. The first is free to us, we're governed by the second. In hell itself, then, laws are reckoned? That's well, so might a compact be made with you gentlemen, and binding surely. All that is promised shall delight thee purely. No skinflint bargain shalt thou see. But this is not of swift conclusion. We'll talk about the matter soon. And now I do entreat this boon. Leave to withdraw from my intrusion. One moment more I ask thee to remain. Some pleasant news at least to tell me. Release me now. I soon shall come again. Then thou at will mayst question and compel me. I have not snares round thee cast. Thyself hast led thyself into the meshes. Who traps the devil, hold him fast. Not soon a second time he'll catch a prey so precious. And please thee also I'm content to stay, and serve thee in a social station, but stipulating that I may, with arts of mine, afford thee recreation. Thereto I willingly agree, if the diversion pleasant be. My friend, thou'lt win, past all pretences, more in this hour to soothe thy senses, than in the year's monotony, that which the dainty spirits sing thee. The lovely pictures they shall bring thee are more than magic's empty show. Thy scent will be to bliss invited, thy palate then with taste delighted, thy nerves of touch ecstatic glow, all unprepared the charm I spin. We're here together, so begin. And the spirits. Vanish, ye darking arches above him, loveliest weather, born of blue ether. Break from the sky. Oh, that the darkling clouds had departed, starlight is sparkling. Tranquiler hearted, suns are on high, heaven's own children, in beauty bewildering, waveringly bending, pass as they hover, longing unending, follows them over. They with their glowing garments outflowing, cover in going landscape and bower, where in seclusion lovers are plighted, lost in illusion, bower on bower. Tendrils unblighted, lo, in a shower, grapes that o'ercluster gush into must, or flow into rivers of foaming and flashing, wine that is dashing, gems as it boundeth down the high places, and spreading surroundeth with crystalline spaces, in happy embraces, blossoming forelands, emerald shorelands, and the winged races drink and fly onward, fly ever sunward, to the enticing islands that flatter, dripping, dipping, and rising, light on the water. Hark the inspiring sound of their choiring, see the entrancing whirl of their dancing, all in the air are freer and fair, some of them scaling boldly the highlands, others are sailing, circling the islands, others are flying, lifeward all highing, all for the distant star of existence, rapture and love. He sleeps, enough, ye fays, your airy number, have sung him truly into slumber. For this performance I your debt approve. Not yet art thou the man to catch the fiend and hold him. With fairest images of dreams enfold him, plunge him in seas of sweet untruth. Yet, for the threshold's magic which controlled him, the devil needs a rat's quick tooth. I use no lengthened invocation. Here rustles one that soon will work my liberation. The lord of the rats and eke of mice, of flies and bedbugs, frogs and lice, summons thee hither to the door-sill, to gnaw it where, with just a morsel of oil, he paints the spot for thee. There comes thou, hopping on to me. To work at once, the point which made me craven is forward on the ledge engraven. Another bite makes free the door. So dream thy dreams, O Faust, until we meet once more. As Faust awakens, am I again so foully cheated? Remains there naught of lofty spirit sway, but that a dream the devil counterfeited, and that a poodle ran away? We have another picture. Right at the end of this scene. So let's get that one clipped. We're starting to get into the very surrealist. Well, I guess not really getting into. They've been pretty surreal all along, but these pictures are a little extra. It seems to be sort of depicting Mephistopheles and Faust and their interaction, and just in general, just sort of giving a vibe more than anything. But so the two central characters have made their acquaintance. Yeah, you're right. It does. It fits. It seems very similar to a woodblock. Words are hard. A woodblock print,
And really, they have all been that way. And I'm not sure if these were in the original or just for this edition. I've not looked through other versions of the text, but I could see these being originals. Although I think, well, no, because it's when was this written? It's been a hot minute. So I think the original work, the original play was written in 1808, so they definitely could have had printings there then. Not very many, but they could have had printings. So this is all, so far, pretty engaging as it goes through. I do need to just clarify. It's kind of a half whisper that I'm using for Mephistopheles there. Is it coming through on the mic all right? Is it picking up and legible enough? I'd rather prefer not to lose that dialogue. I think it's probably fine. I'm looking at the mic pickups, but you never know how things are going to pick up. But so yeah, okay, cool, perfect. So this first interaction was interesting. It definitely seems that Mephistopheles had this all planned out right from the get-go. Coming in as the poodle, having the spirits available to send him to sleep, sort of feigning and pretending at his own capture there, and working his own way out from the pentagram. So he's already working his wiles and trickery as he goes through, which is only appropriate. So let's continue with part 4, scene 4. I think, yes, the 4th scene of the first act, I think is how this is broken out into. Or, yeah. This one isn't broken up even neatly into acts and such, but part 4, chapter 4. We'll call it chapters. I like chapters. In the study, Faust and Mephistopheles. A knock! Come in! Again my quiet broken. 'Tis I. Come in! Thrice must the words be spoken. Come in, then. Thus thou pleasest me. I hope we'll suit each other well, for now thy vapours to dispel. I come, a squire of high degree, in scarlet coat with golden trimming, a cloak in silken lust swimming, a tall cock's feather in my hat, a long sharp sword for show or quarrel, and I advise thee, brief and flat, to don the self-same gay apparel, that, from this den released and free, life be at last revealed to thee. This life of earth, whatever my attire, would pain me in its wonted fashion. Too old am I to play with passion, too young to be without desire. What from the world have I to gain? Thou shalt abstain, renounce, refrain. Such is the everlasting song that in the ears of all men rings, that unrelieved our whole life long, each hour in passing hoarsely sings. In very terror I at morn awake, upon the verge of bitter weeping, to see the day of disappointment break, to no one hope of mine, not one its promise keeping, that even each joy's presentiment with wilful cavil would diminish, with grinning masks of life prevent my mind its fairest work to finish. Then, too, when night descends, how anxiously upon my couch of sleep I lay me. There also comes no rest to me, but some wild dream is set to fray me. The God that in my breast is owned can deeply stir the inner sources. The God above my powers enthroned, he cannot change external forces. So, by the burden of my days oppressed, death is desired, and life a thing unblessed. And yet is never death a wholly welcome guest? Oh, fortunate, for whom, when victory glances, the bloody laurels on the brow he bindeth,
whom, after rapid maddening dances, in clasping maiden arms he findeth. Oh, would that I, before that spirit power, ravished and rapt from life had sunken! And yet, by someone in that nightly hour, a certain liquid was not drunken. Eavesdropping, ha! Thy pleasure seems to be. Omniscient am I not, yet much is known to me. Though some familiar tone retrieving, my thoughts from torment led me on, and sweet clear echoes came deceiving a faith bequeathed from childhood's dawn. Yet now I curse whate'er entices, and snares the soul with visions vain, with dazzling cheats and dear devices, confines it in this cave of pain. Cursed be at once the high ambition, wherewith the mind itself deludes. Cursed be the glare of apparition that on the finer sense intrudes. Cursed be the lying dream's impression of name and fame and laureled brow. Cursed all that flatters as possession, as wife and child, as knave and plough. Cursed Mammon be when he with treasures to restless actions spurs our fate. Cursed when for soft indulgent leisures he lays for us the pillows straight. Cursed be the vine's transcendent nectar, the highest favour love let fall. Cursed also hope, cursed faith the spectre, and cursed be patience most of all. And now the chorus of spirits, invisible. Woe, woe, thou hast it destroyed, the beautiful world with powerful fist. In ruin 'tis hurled, by the blow of a demigod shattered, the scattered fragments into the void we carry, deploring the beauty perished beyond restoring. Mightier, for the children of men, brightlier, build it again. In thine own bosom build it anew, bid the new career commence with clearer sense, and the new songs of cheer be sung thereto. These are the small dependents, who give me attendance. Hear them, to deeds and passion, counsel in shrewd old fashion. Into the world of strife, out of this lonely life, that of senses and sap has betrayed thee, they would persuade thee, this nursing of the pain forego thee, that, like a vulture, feeds upon thy breast. The worst society thou find'st will show thee, thou art a man among the rest, but 'tis not meant to thrust thee into the mob thou hatest. I am not one of the greatest, yet wilt thou to me entrust thy steps through life. I'll guide thee, will willingly walk beside thee, will serve thee at once and forever, with best endeavour, and, if thou art satisfied, will as servant, slave, with thee abide. And what shall be my counter-service therefore? The time is long, thou needst not now insist. No, no, the devil is an egotist, and is not apt without a why or wherefore, for God's sake others to assist. Speak thy conditions plain and clear, with such a servant danger comes, I fear. Here, an unwearied slave, I'll wear thy tether, and to thine every nod obedient be. When there again we come together, then shalt thou do the same for me. There my scruples naught increases, when thou hast dashed this world to pieces. The other then its place may fill. Here on this earth my pleasures have their sources. Yon sun beholds my sorrows in his courses. And when from these my life itself divorces, let happen all that can or will. I'll hear no more, 'tis vain to ponder, if there we cherish love or hate, or in the spheres we dream of yonder, a high and low our souls await. In this sense even canst thou venture, come, bind thyself by prompt indenture, and thou mine arts with joy shalt see. What no man ever saw, I'll give to thee. Canst thou, poor devil, give me whatsoever? When was a human soul in its supreme endeavour e'er understood by such as thou? Yet hast thou food which never satiates now? The restless ruddy gold hast thou, that runs quicksilver like one's fingers through, a game whose winnings no man ever knew, a maid that, even from my breast, beckons my neighbour with her wanton glances, and honours godlike zest. the meteor that a moment dances, show me the fruits that ere there gathered rot, and trees that daily with new leafage clothe them. Such a demand alarms me not. Such treasures have I, and can show them. But still the time may reach us, good my friend, when peace we crave, and more luxurious diet. When on an idler's bed I stretch myself in quiet, there let at once my record end. Canst thou with lying flattery rule me, until, self-pleased, myself I see? Canst thou with rich enjoyment fool me? Let that day be the last for me, the bet I offer. Done, and heartily. When thus I hail the moment flying, still delay thou art so fair, then bind me in thy bonds undying, my final ruin then declare. Then let the death bell chime the token, then art thou from thy service free. The clock may stop, the hand be broken, then time be finished unto me. Consider well, my memory good is rated. Thou hast a perfect right thereto. My powers I have not rashly estimated. A slave am I, whate'er I do. If thine or whose, 'tis needless to debate it. Then at the doctor's banquet I today will as a servant wait behind thee. But one thing more, beyond all risk to bind thee. Give me a line or two, I pray. Demand'st thou, pedant to a document? Hast never known a man nor proved his word's intent? Is't not enough that what I speak today shall stand with all my future days agreeing? In all its tides sweeps not the world away, and shall a promise bind my being? Yet this delusion in our hearts we bear, who would himself therefrom deliver? Blessed he whose bosom truth makes pure and fair. No sacrifice shall he repent of ever, nothing less a parchment, writ and stamped with care. A spectre is with which all to shun endeavour. The word, alas, dies even in the pen, and wax and leather keep the lordship then. What wilt from me, base spirit, say? Brass, marble, parchment, paper, clay, the terms with graver quill or chisel stated. I freely leave the choice to thee. Why heat thyself thus instantly, with eloquence exaggerated? Each leaf for such a pact is good. And to subscribe thy name, thou'lt take a drop of blood. If thou therewith art fully satisfied, so let us by the farce abide. Blood is a juice of rarest quality. Fear not that I this pact shall seek to sever. The promise that I make to thee is just the sum of my endeavour. I have myself inflated all too high. My proper place is thy estate. The mighty spirit deigns me no reply, and nature shuts on me her gate. The thread of thought at last is broken, and knowledge brings disgust unspoken. Let us the sensual drop deeps explore, to quench the fervours of glowing passion. Let every marvel take form and fashion, through the impervious veil it wore. Plunge we in time's tumultuous dance, in the rush and roll of circumstance. Then may delight and distress, and worry and success, alternately follow as best they can. Restless activity proves the man. For you no bound, no term is set. Whether you everywhere be trying, or snatch a rapid bliss in flying, may it agree with you what you get. Only fall to, and show no timid balking. But thou hast heard, 'tis not of joy we're talking. I take the wildering whirl, enjoyment's keenest pain, enamoured hate, exhilarant disdain. My bosom, of its thirst for knowledge sated, shall not henceforth from any pang be rested, and all of life, for all mankind created, shall be within mine inmost being tested. The highest, lowest forms my soul shall borrow, shall heap upon itself their bliss and sorrow, and thus my own soul self to all their selves expanded, I too at last shall with them all be stranded. Believe me, who for many a thousand year the same tough meat have chewed and tested, that from the cradle to the bier no man the ancient leaven has digested. Trust one of us, this whole supernal, is made but for a god's delight. He dwells in splendor single and eternal, but us he thrusts in darkness out of sight. And you he dowers with day and night. Nay, but I will, a good reply. One only fear still needs repeating. The art is long, the time is fleeting. Then let thyself be taught, say I. Go, league thyself with a poet. Give the rein to his imagination, then wear the crown and show it. Of the qualities of his creation, the courage of the lion's breed, the wild stag's speed, the Italian's fiery blood, the North's firm fortitude. Let him find for thee the secret tether that binds the noble and mean together, and teach thy pulses of youth and pleasure. To love by rule and hate by measure, I'd like myself such a one to see. Sir Microcosm his name should be. What am I, then, if 'tis denied my part, the crown of all humanity to win me? Whereto yearns every sense within me. Why, on the whole thou art what thou art. Set wigs of million curls upon thy head to raise thee. Wear shoes in ell in height, the truth betrays thee, and thou remainest what thou art. I feel indeed that I have made the treasure of human thought and knowledge mine in vain. And if now sit down in restful leisure, no fount of newer strength is in my brain. I am no hair's breadth more in height, nor nearer to the infinite. Good sir, you see the facts precisely, as they are seen by each and all. We must arrange them now more wisely, before the joys of life shall pall. Why, zounds, both hands and feet are truly, and head and virile force is thine. Yet all that I indulge in newly is thence less wholly mine. If I've 6 stallions in my stall, are not their forces also lent me? I speed along completest man of all, as though my legs are 24. Take hold then, let reflection rest, and plunge into the world with zest. I say to thee, a speculative wight is like a beast on moorlands lean, that round and round some fiends misleads to evil plight, while all about lie pastures fresh and green. Then how shall we begin? We'll try a wider sphere. What place of martyrdom is here? Is't life, I ask? Is't even prudence? To bore thyself and bore the students? Let neighbour paunch to that attend. Why plague thyself with threshing straw forever? The best thou learnest in the end, thou darest not tell the youngsters never. I hear one's footsteps hither steering. To him now I have no heart. So long the poor boy waits a hearing. He must not unconsoled depart. Thy cap and mantle straightway lend me. I'll play the comedy with art. Mephistopheles disguises himself. My wits, be certain, will befriend me. But 15 minutes' time is all I need for our fine trip. Meanwhile, prepare thyself with speed. Then Faust exits, and Mephistopheles, clothed in Faust's long mantle. Reason and knowledge only thou despise, the highest strength in man that lies. Let but the lying spirit bind thee, with magic works and shows that blind thee, and I shall have thee fast and sure. Fate such a bold, untrammelled spirit gave him, as forwards, onwards ever must endure, whose over a hasty impulse drave him past earthly joys he might secure. Dragged through the wildest life will I enslave him, through flat and stale indifference, with struggling, chilling, checking so deprave him, that to his hot, insatiate sense the dream of drink shall mock, but never lave him. Refreshment shall his lips in vain implore, Had he not made himself the devil's, naught could save him. Still, were he lost forevermore.
And a student enters.
A short time only am I here, and come devoted and sincere, to greet and know the man of fame, whom men to me with reverence name. Your courtesy doth flatter me. You see a man as others be. Have you, perchance, elsewhere begun? Receive me now, I pray, as one who comes to you with courage good, somewhat of cash and healthy blood. My mother was hardly willing to let me, but knowledge worth having I fain would get me. Then you have reached the right place now. I'd like to leave it, I must avow. I find these walls, these vaulted spaces, are anything but pleasant places. 'Tis all so cramped and close and mean. One sees no tree, no glimpse of green. And when the lecture halls receive me, seeing, hearing, and thinking leave me, all that depends on habitude. So, from its mother's breasts a child, at first reluctant takes its food, but soon to seek them is beguiled. Thus, at the breasts of wisdom clinging, thou'lt find each day a greater rapture bringing. I'll hang thereon with joy, and freely drain them. But tell me, pray, the proper means to gain them. Explain, before you further speak, the special faculty you seek. I crave the highest erudition, and fain would make my acquisition all that there is in earth and heaven, in nature and in science too. Here is the genuine path for you, yet strict attention must be given. Body and soul thereon I'll wreck, yet truly I've some inclination on summer holidays to see. A little freedom and recreation.
Oh yes, leave it to a student to be like, oh yes, I'll give it everything and more. But can I have summers off?
Use well your time. It flies so swiftly from us. But time through order may be won, I promise. No friend, my views to briefly sum. First, the Collegium Logicum. There will your mind be drilled and braced, as if in Spanish boots 'twere laced, and thus to graver paces brought, 'twill plod along the path of thought, instead of shooting here and there, a will-o'-wisp in murky air. Days will be spent to bid you know what once you did at a single blow. Like eating and drinking free and strong, that 1, 2, 3 thereto belong. Truly, the fabric of mental fleece resembles a weaver's masterpiece, where 1,000 threads one cradle throws, where fly the shuttles hither and thither, unseen the threads are knit together, and an infinite combination grows. Then the philosopher steps in and shows no otherwise it could have been. The first was so, the second so, therefore the third and fourth are so. Were not the first and second then, the third and fourth had never been. The scholars are everywhere believers, but never succeed in being weavers. He who would study organic existence first drives out the soul with rigid persistence. Then the parts in his hand he may hold and clasp, but the spiritual link is lost, alas. And Sherison Natures, this chemistry names, now nor knows how herself she banters and blames. I cannot understand you quite. Your mind will shortly be set aright, when you have learned all things reducing to classify them for your using. I feel as stupid from all you've said, as if a mill-wheel whirled in my head. And after first and foremost duty of metaphysics, learn the use and beauty. See that you most profoundly gain what does not suit the human brain. A splendid word to serve you'll find for what goes in or won't go in your mind. But first, at least, this half a year, to order rigidly adhere, 5 hours a day, you understand, and when the clock strikes, be on hand. Prepare beforehand for your part, with paragraphs all got by heart. so you can better watch and look, that naught is said but what is in the book. Yet in thy writing as unwearied be, as did the Holy Ghost dictate to thee. No need to tell me twice to do it. I think how useful 'tis to write. For what one has in black and white, one carries home and then goes through it. Yet choose thyself a faculty. I cannot reconcile myself to jurisprudence. Nor can I therefore greatly blame you students. I know what science this has come to be. All rights and laws are still transmitted, like an eternal sickness of the race. From generation unto generation fitted, and shifted round from place to place, reason becomes a sham, beneficence a worry. Thou art a grandchild, therefore woe to thee. The right born with us, ours in verity. This to consider, there's, alas, no hurry. My own disgust is strengthened by your speech. Oh, lucky he whom you shall teach. I've almost for theology decided. I would not wish to see you here misguided, for, as regards this science, let me hint, 'tis very hard to shun the false direction. There's so much secret poison lurking in it. So like the medicine, it baffles your detection. Here, therefore, one alone, for that is best in sooth, and simply take your master's words for truth. On words, let your attention center. Then, through the safest gate you'll enter, the temple halls of certainty. Yet, in the word, must some idea be? Of course, but only shun too over-sharp attention. For just where fails the comprehension, a word that steps promptly in as deputy. With words, 'tis excellent disputing. Systems to words, 'tis easy suiting. On words, 'tis excellent believing. No word can ever lose a jot from thieving. But pardon, with many questions I detain you, yet must I trouble you again. Of medicine, I still would fain hear one strong word that might explain you. 3 years is but a little space, and God, who can the field embrace? If some index could be shown, 'twere easier groping forward truly. Here Mephistopheles has an aside. I'm tired enough of this dry tone. Must play the devil again and fully. And then aloud. To grasp the spirit of medicine is easy. Learn of the great and little world your fill, to let it go at last, so pleasy, just as God will. In vain that through the realms of science you may drift, each one learns only just what learn he can. Yet he who grasps the moment's gift, he is the proper man. Well made you are, 'tis not to be denied. The rest a bold address will win you, if you but in yourself confide. At once confide all others in you, to lead the women learn the special feeling. Their everlasting aches and groans, in thousand tones, have all one source, one mode of healing. And if your acts are half discreet, you'll always have them at your feet. A title first must draw and interest them, and show that yours all other art exceeds. Then, at the greeting you are free to touch and test them, while thus to do for years another pleads. You press and count the pulse's dances, and then with burning sidelong glances you clasp the swelling hips to see if tightly laced her corsets be. That's better now, the how and where one sees. My worthy friend, grey are all theories, and green alone life's golden tree. I swear to you 'tis like a dream to me. Might I again presume, with trust unfounded, to hear your wisdom thoroughly expounded? Most willingly, to what extent I may. I cannot really go away. Allow me that my album first I reach you. Grant me this favor, I beseech you. Assuredly. Here he writes and returns the book, and the student reads, Eritis sicut Deus, scientes bonum et malum. They close the book with reverence and withdraw. And here Mephistopheles continues, Follow the ancient text, and the snake thou wast ordered to trample. With all thy likeness to God, thou'lt yet be a sorry example.
And Faust re-enters. Now, whither shall we go?
As best it pleases thee, the little world, and then the great we'll see. With what delight, what profit winning, shalt thou sponge through the term beginning?
Yet, with the flowing beard I wear, both ease and grace will fill me there. The attempt indeed were a futile strife. I never could learn the ways of life. I feel so small before others, and thence should always find embarrassments.
My friend, thou soon shalt lose all such misgiving. Be thou but self-possessed. Thou hast the art of living.
How shall we leave the house and start? Where hast thou servant, coach, and horses?
We'll spread this cloak with proper art. Then through the air direct our courses, but only on so bold a flight. Be sure to have thy luggage light, a little burning air, which I shall soon prepare us, above the earth will nimbly bear us. And if we're light, we'll travel swift and clear. I gratulate thee on thy new career.
And we have one more picture at the end of this scene. And that is... yeah, this one, now that we are properly in the midst of it, with the devil's whispers going on in the ear, we see rather more disturbing print here as we continue on. So this was the chapter where the pact was made, the bet was on, and the course was set. In more plain words, Faust has said that he will agree to these terms only until he comes to a point where he's had a perfect day and thinks life cannot get better than this, it will never be better than this, take me away. And Mephistopheles is totally up for that bet. He is sure that he can give the world-weary scholar the best day ever. No matter how long it takes. In the end, with eternity at stake, it doesn't matter how long it takes, because the terms on the other end don't have an end. So, for now, Mephistopheles is Faust's, I won't say loyal servant, but he's in his corner for now, trying to give him joy and grace and all the sensations and knowledge and wisdom of the world, however he can, to satisfy all of his desires, wishes, yearnings. Because someday the tables will turn, and once they turn, they will not turn back. So, so beyond the bargain, beyond the game starting, beyond really the center point, that interaction where as soon as Faust went off to go get dressed and get ready for an outing, Mephistopheles disguised himself as Faust and really led a potential student astray. That was peak. That's a sneak glimpse behind the curtain. See what Mephistopheles is really about. The guiding him away from law, because law is boring. Don't worry about it. Law, don't need to worry. There's nothing fun about law. You don't need to go into the study of law. And then theology. Pshaw. You don't need to go into theology. It's boring, and there's interpretations to things. That's never fun. That's not right. You don't need to go into that. It's too easy to go astray. But now medicine. Oh, now medicine, you can
medicine, so you can do good. And while you're doing good, while you're inspecting the women, you can see firsthand how they're put together and see, oh, this corset is just tight enough, miss. That was, woo, Dirty Doctor. Mephistopheles is teaching a student to play doctor in the most interesting ways. Didn't need a pact for that one. No. He rather quickly succumbed to that little bit of temptation. So, that's a little peek at the deeper side of Mephistopheles' character and motivations. He doesn't need to just rely on his own little game. He'll get his own enjoyment all over the place, wherever he can, in insidious ways. And this is early 1800s, and they are straight up saying, like, okay, now a doctor can get into some stuff. Yeah. Victorian era innuendos are potent. So, we are just about, there was a fair bit of preamble in this one. But we're coming up on chapter 5, or part 5. But also, it says we're like 40% through the book already, which is a little strange, honestly. Let me set a bookmark here and I'll look ahead a little bit. This is good to get into more serious and heavy works. As much fun as we had with the holiday readings, I am glad to get back into what we've done before. Yeah, exactly. Ghosts in your blood do cocaine about it. That's very doctor speak for the time. Okay, yeah, so a lot of these... So, usually, in the past, most of our books, the chapters have been of relatively even length. Not so with this one. The chapter we just finished was about 20 pages long, and as I'm looking ahead, there are some that are 2 to 4 pages long. So, and those pages are including the block print that comes after the page, or after the chapter. So, some of these are like a page-ish. So, we won't be able to really gauge how much we have left by the chapter count. So, it'll be a little loosey-goosey as we go. But judging by this, I think this is probably going to be a 3-day total read. Maybe 4, but probably 3. Which fits pretty nicely. Getting back into more serious works. And this one is not lighthearted. Not a kid's story. Not a Santa. Yeah, you're right. They are not really chapters. They're more scenes. So when the scene shifts, when the topic changes, when the location moves, then we get a new chapter, a new scene. This is the sort of the unfortunate truth of the closet drama sort of process that we have with this one. It does play out very nicely and neatly. When we were reading Oedipus, it was a lot more of a traditional play. But this one it reads like a book, but it is almost all dialogue because it's a play. So it is rather difficult to find a spot to stop and breathe and take a drink, I'll admit. But it does read very well as just a one-man show style. It works out pretty well for us in our format. Other plays would not be the same. So I'll need to take that in note as we're looking at future potential works. Things that were intended to be read alone rather than read on stage, or than put out on the stage, are fair game for us. That's not to say that regular plays are not fair game, but a lot of times there tends to be way too many characters in a lot of plays, and that is a strain. I can manage about 9 or 10 voices in a given work, with some variation of pitch and tone and intonation,
anything past that, and I am lost. Now, luckily, I kind of stumbled into a good one for Faust that is just a little bit off of the natural speaking voice. That is memorable and certainly just forceful enough. And Mephistopheles is one that I have not pulled out in a while, but I think I last used a voice like this when we were reading Archblade. I think the secondary villain there, I used a voice similar to this, the almost whispering, beguiling style. So this is another one that is memorable, and I'll likely not forget in between sessions. The problem being, the Mephistopheles voice, when it shifts to a high-pitched one just after, that one kind of stings. The interaction between the student and Mephistopheles there, that was, that gave a bit of a tickle there, because I wanted the innocent, bright-eyed student coming in, so kick it up a register a little bit, but I will say I enjoy this one a lot. The format so far is good. I like it. It being dialogue heavy means it's a good back and forth. The pacing is great. I cannot get over how good the translation is. It maintained the meter. It has every bit the poetry of the original. We've got the meter is right. The rhyming couplets are great. The choice of words is fantastic. So, we have a lot to look forward to in this one. It is a great adaptation, a great translation, and we're already seeing the story coming together. Given that it is a play, quote unquote, we can expect that really throughout all of our sessions, there will be significant developments. There's not really a whole lot of ups and downs in storytelling when you're dealing with theatrical works. The audience needs to be engaged pretty much the whole time. There can be some ups and downs, some valleys and peaks, but not nearly to the level of like exposition and world building and such that we see in a lot of more traditional novels. So we can look forward to each night being rather impressive on this as we continue on. All right, so I think we've run over a little bit, but we finished our reading part right around 10, which is about spot on, and we've just been yapping since and having a bit of a revel in the return to actual literary works. I enjoyed our little holiday segue, but it is nice to get back to our roots. So, tomorrow I will double check my data usage because my ISP is ever so kindly letting me know that I'm nearing my 1.25 terabyte limit for the month, and it won't renew until the 31st. So, I will see how much data we've used tonight, and we'll see whether or not we're able to jump back in on Tuesday. I would like to think that we're able to, and I would like to think that I could maybe talk to them into switching my plan, but being that I have my own modem, my own router, unfortunately a lot of their plans, the only plans they have that include unlimited data, enforce you to use theirs, and I'd rather not have spyware in my house. At least not invited in. So, we'll see how things are. Generally, I don't have an issue with the data limits, except when we run a stream for 48 hours consecutively, while I'm using other data to consume my own media on the side. It was fun to do that rewind. I think there was benefit to it. We had a fair few views, and just the idea of having something on the channel going for the whole holidays was great. I liked it. But I may not do it again for a while. But it is good to be back. Even the day, was it 2 days off we had? The Friday and Saturday? Today's Sunday, right? Yeah, the 2 days off we had were weird to me. So, it is good to be back in the action. And hopefully, the ISP will not dissuade us from continuing on Tuesday. So, let's go ahead and plan for that. Unless otherwise noted, we will reconvene on Tuesday for our continued reading of Goethe's Faust. The game is afoot, and let's see how well Faust can endure the temptations, and let's see what sort of scenes Mephistopheles can set to ensnare his full-knowing victim in his chains. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for your patience as we've had a little bit of a break for the holidays, and we're getting back into routine now. Have a wonderful night. If you haven't yet, I encourage you to drop a like on the stream, subscription to the channel, and let your friends know that we're up to some fun around here. All right. Until next time, have a wonderful night. Thank you. Bye now.